with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a while since we spoke to our next guest. Do you know what the word aptronym is? Do you know what an aptronym is? An aptronym is a person who has a name that is appropriate for their profession. Colin Bass is a bass player. Colin Bass is a bass player. Sarah Blizzard is a meteorologist. William Wordsworth is a poet. I'm sure you know William Wordsworth.
Yes.
And Dr. Ken Redcross is a physician. How about that, huh?
I think that's awesome.
And he's been with us before. He's on the phone right now. He's a board-certified internal medicine physician. He's the founder of Redcross Concierge and a contributor to The Doctors, Nancy Grace, The Insider, E! Entertainment Television. And appropriately enough, tomorrow when you're hanging out with all your family, you're going to love them, and you're going to be so happy to see them, and you're going to be getting germs from them. Dr. Ken Redcross, good to hear from you again. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you for having me on. Another aperture is not only my name is Dr. Redcross, but much like the Red Cross, I am fine with taking donations, guys. Not a problem at all.
That's funny. Where are you? Where do you call from? Or where do you live?
in New York. I'm in New York City.
Is that where you live?
Nice.
I do. I live right outside the city, actually, in Westchester, so about 15 minutes outside.
Yeah. Well, good to hear from you again. And how's the temperature up there today? Is it cold?
Oh, gosh, guys, it is cold. A lot colder here than probably down there with you guys in beautiful Florida, I can tell you that.
So can we start there with the cold? I have a question about the cold, and I think, we always hear every year the cold doesn't really give you a cold.
Right.
But so then why do people come to Florida so they won't catch a cold? Why, that doesn't make sense.
You know what's funny? You know what it is? A lot of the viruses that we deal with, especially influenza, when we're really in the throes of it, it really propagates well in that sort of temperature and that sort of environment. Not to say, obviously, you can't get the flu down where you guys are, but we're a little more susceptible here because the conditions are absolutely perfect for the flu and some of the other viruses that we deal with.
So if you're walking down the streets, I was in the city just over a month ago. It was so good to be back. But you're walking past people all the time. You're touching doorknobs that a million other people have touched. So are you more likely to get a cold or a flu because of that? Because of being close to other people?
Well, I'll tell you, absolutely, being in closer quarters. I mean, you mentioned being in the city. I always like to let everyone understand, like, when you're in New York City and you're walking down in the train system and you're rubbing your hands all the way down the rail before you get on the next train, you've probably just touched about 120 people, and you never think about it. The next thing you do, you rub your nose, you rub your eyes, and then you know you're sick. So definitely being in close quarters makes it a little bit harder to try to stay healthy during the season.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you this. In a cold place, and not to get stuck on the cold part of this, but
sure.
Do the germs live longer on an inanimate surface like a handrail, or would they live longer here, or like on a wet sponge? I mean, where's the most germy place?
Well, it's funny because all bets are sort of off because there's certain viruses that really propagate well in the cold time, as we always talk about influenza during this time of year. And then when you go down to the tropics, there's other things that we deal with, right? Dengue fever, malaria, and so forth. So each virus is kind of their own kind of person. And so it really depends on what you're talking about in particular.
All right, my notes tell me that one of the things you want to talk about is stress, and I guess it starts today.
My stress is here.
Well, it's funny, guys. It actually started before the day. You know when it started? It started November 16th, or whenever the election was. They did these. Oh golly, they did studies, and the studies showed that over half of us have been stressed out about the whole season, regardless of who you voted for. The point is, everyone has been stressed out about the whole process. And so that's why I thought it was so important to make sure that we all talk about how do we deal with our stress. This is my favorite time of year, but it's also a time of year, like you guys have already noted, when we were very stressed with having family around and trying to make sure everything is nice and harmonious.
Right. So does a vaccination actually help with stress, or are they not connected?
No, they're not really connected at all, but I think the big thing is that when we think about stress, we all talk about it like it's kind of not a big deal, but really it is. When we deal with short-term stress, that can weaken our immune system.
Oh, I see. That's the connection, so that we can get sick because of stress.
Exactly. And not only that, don't forget, chronic stress actually can cause disease and still. So when we're talking about that, I wanted to make sure that we focus on some particular topics that can make it easier for us to have almost a stress reduction makeover during the season.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to touch upon was the importance of our diet. Now, you guys may remember when we got together, but I feel food is medicine. So when we're starting the day, breakfast boosters are the way to go. Yogurt is something that I love to always touch upon because everyone finally is hip to the fact that yogurt is good for us because of probiotics. Probiotics are the good bacteria that's necessary to seed our gut and, once again, to boost our immune system. But there's another food that I don't think people know about, and that is mushrooms. Mushrooms actually increase the production of white blood cells, and they also increase their activity and aggressiveness. So therefore, when our immune system is affected at this point, mushrooms can actually be used to, once again, boost our immune system.
I love mushrooms.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. The hard part, and I don't know if it's hard for you as well, but I'm on the go a lot, and it's a little bit harder to get mushrooms and maybe put them in your omelet and that sort of thing. Yeah. I love to tell patients about, there's a supplement out there called AHCC. Now, AHCC gives a precise mix of mushrooms shown in human clinical trials to, once again, strengthen your immunity. And so I love to give people at least some other options if they can't be home, especially during the holiday season. So things like AHCC are very helpful. But then there's also oats and barley. Now, I think we've talked about oats before because I love them because they have beta-glucan. Now, beta-glucan is a fiber, and the key with this fiber is that it has antimicrobial properties and also antioxidant properties. These are both very important to help us fight the stress response. So there's some things right in our cupboards that we can use to help us with the stress, especially during this season with Thanksgiving going tomorrow. And it's just like, I don't know where Thanksgiving, it just came from around the corner. It seems like yesterday we were voting, you know?
All right, so go ahead, Ron.
So when you talk about oats, I think of oatmeal, which I love, but then when you go to the store, you see oatmeal and then you see steel cut oatmeal. What's the difference?
Perfect question. I love the steel cut oatmeal because it's in its purest form. Once again, I want us all to consider, let's stay closer to the earth when we're talking about things that we're putting into our body, because we know they don't have the preservatives. We know they don't have some of the things that we learn later are not good for us. So that is a wonderful question. So I like steel cut oats when we're talking about this on the oatmeal side of things.
You know, I thought Robert was going to ask about barley. Where the heck do you get barley? Is that in beer? Is that where you get it from?
Oh, there you go.
No. Let's hold off on that as a barley source if we can. Especially this early in the morning, guys. We'll leave that for another discussion. So, no, barley is in a lot of the whole food stores and that sort of thing. And the good thing with barley, it's perfect this time of year when you're thinking of soups and that sort of thing. It's really something that is a base of a lot of soups and those things. But once again, kind of big up here in New York, but it's something that we can get and really implement into our diet, especially as we're trying to boost our immune system.
Okay, let's see. Talk to us a little bit because we got to take a break, but we are you're staying with us, right, till 9:28 or so?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I'd love to.
So as we just a little bit, if we could, before we get to the break, talk about, and I know probably every radio host is asking you this question, so I hate to be so ordinary, but we'll talk about vaccines. What do we need to know? Anything different this year?
Well, I'll tell you this, so you guys may recall, I'm a little bit more on the holistic side of healing than just, knee-jerk reaction. Everybody go out and get your flu shot, because some years we don't do such a good job at getting the flu vaccine right. But this year we did do a good job, and in fact, we're protected to the tune of about 70% this year. So this year I would suggest that you strongly consider getting vaccinated. Also, keep in mind that the vaccination is not only about you, it's about your loved ones. And we're talking about Thanksgiving, and you're going to be there with grandparents and older people and other ones who have maybe immune systems that are not as strong because they're little children. So think about that this year as you're talking about getting vaccinated for the flu to protect yourself and also your loved ones around you.
All right. Let's take that break, and we will be right back. And if you have any questions, you're invited to call. Our number here is WOCA 622-9622. Dr. Ken Redcross always gives us great information. Love having him on. Good to hear from him again, and we'll be right back with Dr. Redcross after the break. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accidents. On this Wednesday, sunshine mixing with clouds and pretty nice overall. There may be a shower in spots along the coast, the high 74 to 78. Wednesday night, partly cloudy, low 54 and a few inland spots, 64 along the coast. For Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds. There can be a shower in the area, high 78 to 82. For Friday, clouds and some sun with a chance of a shower at the coast, the high again 78 to 82. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Robin, how do you like my design?
You're designing a box?
That's not a box. It's a doghouse.
Rough draft for your rough? Sounds like you need personal service.
I do?
Yes, to print the blueprints. See Mark at the Personal Service Center. He can print blueprints, notarize permit applications, print and mail out invoices, and even provide great-looking business cards.
Personal Service Center. That's the one on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street, right?
Just look for the yellow signs. Your Pedigree Palace will be a reality in no time.
All right, 17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this, I keep wanting to say Friday. It's Wednesday, but it feels like Friday because tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
And we'll be here.
Dr. Ken Redcross is on the phone. We always enjoy having a visit with Dr. Redcross. He's up in New York. He gives us information to make us feel better. And in today's case, it sounds like a lot of it is just almost like yoga. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention something, Doctor. Can I tell you a quick story?
Please do.
Okay, so this was a story from my own life. 20, maybe even 30 years ago. It's a long, long time. But I got fired from a job, okay? Now, where we live in Florida, there's a beautiful river that is popular for tubing. So people would get in these inner tubes, basically just sit in the inner tube, and 4 hours later, you're coming out of the river. So for 4 hours, you're floating down this beautiful river, okay?
Right.
And so I had been fired from a job, and I was all stressed out about what am I going to do, and it was in the summertime, just so you know, it wasn't winter, because even though winter in Florida is not too bad, we don't usually go in the river in the winter. So anyway, so I'm in the river, and about an hour into it or something, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is the most stress relieving thing I think I've ever done. It was so stress relieving. Now, I told the story on the radio. Somebody called up and said, it sounds like you were doing yoga. And I said, no, I was in the river. All right, could I get that same result without going in the river? I mean, is there something I could do?
Well, let me tell you, it's funny you say that because one of the things I talk about to help reduce our stress, I call it breathe deeper daily. And that's pretty much what you were doing. So you were right. You were creating your own form of tubing yoga because you're really making sure you're just focusing on the important things, right? When you're doing yoga or you're doing those breathing exercises, you decrease the stress response. It's been proven in studies. Yoga is no longer a fad. The other thing that yoga does and the breathing exercise that you were doing in that tube was also improving your mood and increasing your energy as well. But in a way, you were almost doing a mix. One of the other things I love to do as well is I am a big meditator. And meditation is controlled breathing, which also has been shown to decrease stress, anxiety, but also improve your self-awareness. And that's where I think really a lot of our happiness comes from at that point, Larry, especially after, unfortunately, you were let go of that job, which is okay because now you have a wonderful job. So that was supposed to happen, right?
I think so.
But the point is, when you have those things such as yoga, meditation, those things that decrease your stress response, you want everyone out there to consider breathing deeper daily, because that's something we don't do. If you guys were here in New York City this morning, all you do is you see the back or at least the top of everyone's head, right? Because no one's focused. Everyone's looking down at their telephones.
Right.
No one is engaged anymore. No one is really understanding that the whole reason we're all here right now is a spiritual experience. And if we consider that, that really helps us deal with our stress. Now, one of the other things that I do is I am a CrossFitter, so I love high-intensity interval training, which is also a wonderful way for me to release stress as well. And for some other people who yoga and meditation is just too foo-foo, or Dr. Redcross, you're crazy, man, then we can consider this high-intensity exercise, which is another way to really make sure you relax. But I like the tubing that you did, because you were absolutely right. You were doing almost two things, yoga and meditation at the same time, and you didn't even know.
You know, you mentioned that everybody's looking at their phones and checking out social media, etc. I've often thought, because, again, I was back in New York just a month ago, but, I hadn't been there probably for 20 years. I was trying to figure this out. And the difference in the subway was back then people were looking at newspapers and novels or paperback books. And now they're looking at social media. And I'm wondering if perhaps social media isn't more stressful than relaxing. I mean, reading a novel is kind of relaxing, but sometimes social media can really get you upset.
No, you are absolutely right, because the thing is, Larry, we are never unplugged. What are we doing? We'll get an email to our phone, so our phone will buzz or beep, and we're never really unplugged like we used to be. You're right. The big thing on the train system used to be reading what? The New York Times.
Yeah.
And you would read the New York Times, relax, get a little education on your way to your trip, and then that was it. That was the way. But now everything is about all the social media platforms and who said something nice and who didn't say something nice, and how do you cope with that? And, it's a different world now than it used to be. So it's even more important that we're having this topic today. Now, not only breathing deeper daily is important, but also the other thing is I want us to worry about, or actually focus about, clearing the clutter. And I don't mean just the clutter on our desk, even though that is important to do that as well. Most studies show that with more clutter on your desk or your workspace, it increases anxiety and stress. But you also want to declutter your brain as well. And one of the ways you can do that is with, I have like a dry erase board. And on that dry erase board, I love to put urgent, important, and non-urgent, because that helps me kind of get my day in order, like what is my purpose for the day, and to make sure that I'm not kind of lying in the weeds with things that do not have to be done, or that, more importantly, Larry and Robin, that are not making me happy. I actually look at a list of things that I feel that are going to make me spiritually happy for the day, and that one is always urgent, and some of those other things just have to wait in the non-urgent pile.
And laughter, you say, is very important too.
Oh, yeah, that's the best medicine. That doesn't require a copay. That doesn't require anything from the medical community, right? That's free. That's free.
Can I be the doctor on that one? I have a prescription for you. I don't know if it's going to work for you, doctor, but this works for me. If I'm looking for something to make me laugh, you know what I go to?
What do you do?
YouTube funny dogs. YouTube funny dogs. Dogs always make me laugh. You watch them, chasing each other or getting afraid of the cat or something. I don't know.
Right.
It never fails. I'm always laughing at the dogs. I don't know why.
Well, continue to do that, because even when you're laughing, you look at it and say, this is making me laugh, this is funny, but you're also releasing endorphins. And endorphins do what? They make us feel good, and that's important, especially this time of year. Like I said, this is my favorite time of the year, but it's also the most stressful time. And if you're talking about breakfast boosters, like we're talking, getting ready for your day and then clearing the clutter so that you can battle through your day, and then at the end of the day, breathing deeper daily, all of these things make a big difference in our happiness. And that's what I think life is really about, how we all find that and pursue that together.
Man, if I lived in New York, I would make sure you were my doctor. You are. I mean, your patients are very lucky. They don't realize.
They sure are.
I love your attitude.
I'm the blessed one, believe me. Especially, they have to hear me talk all day. I told you guys, I'm an only child, so I'll talk way past the show today.
And that's really something important too, because when the people are ordering on Amazon and stuff, they're not getting out into the world. They're not going to the grocery store to get groceries, not just to get groceries, but to actually talk with people, like talk with the cashiers. My mom does that. She loves people, and that's one of the main reasons she goes out, is just to interact with other people.
Absolutely, it's important. My wife refuses to go with me to the store. Refuses, because I find at least 3 friends on the way there that I'm trying to say, honey, we're going to have some guests over. I met them at the grocery store or on the airplane. So she's used to me at this point.
I did that when again, my trip to New York, I was with my son. He's 30 years old. I grew up there. He didn't. But he's not a stranger to New York, but he wasn't familiar with my way of handling panhandlers, which is to talk to them. And I know everybody always tells you, don't talk to them, don't talk to them. I always say, hey, how you doing? You know? Yeah, and I get a little conversation going, and if they ask me for money and I have some, I say, okay, here's $1 or whatever I have, you know. But a lot of times they never do. They'll just say, I need to get to the Bronx, and I'll say, well, go north. It's up there.
Exactly. So you're very helpful to them. So you pay them. So it's almost like you paid them for listening to you, right? At that point.
Well, I mean, it's a more social place. I think when people talk to one another, I don't know, it's fun and I don't know, it opens up people a little bit. We're kind of isolated, don't you think?
Right.
No, we are, and I think that's one of the things we need to focus on as a society. I think some of it's coming back. I mean, when I talk with patients, they love, as I always say, staying closer to the earth with things that we're putting in our body, and then they love, as far as breathing deeper, they're into yoga. They're a little more open to that because I think everyone is looking for a way just to feel better. So much has changed, and you mentioned already, Larry, that social media has really revolutionized how we really react to one another as a society, and we really don't hold conversations anymore, and the nuances of body language and those sort of things are being lost, and I think that's something that we all should start focusing upon, and this is the best time of year to really think about really diving in head first.
So when you get together with your family tomorrow, will they all be asking you medical questions?
Not allowed. I tell them the doctor is not in.
Oh, that's
for my
good.
Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Day is the only day I'll say the doctor is not in until about maybe 8 o'clock, and then they start it all up again.
Oh, I'm going to use that because you know what I get? If I meet somebody I haven't met before, where do you work? Or I work in radio. Oh, what music do you play? Oh, it's talk. Talk? Well, next thing you know, they're talking about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh. And so I'm going to use your technique. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not there right now. I'm here. So we're not talking radio talk. No radio talk.
There you go. And never talk politics during the holiday season. Ever.
No, I know what you're saying. Well, always great to have you on, Doctor. Do you want to, let's see, do we have a website to promote? Is it Dr.?
Sure, guys, sure. So my website, right, it's drredcross.com. Feel free, everyone, say hello if you want to. I'm at Dr. Redcross, which is my Twitter handle, and my Facebook is Ken Redcross MD.
All right, I'm gonna do whatever you do to hook up with you on Twitter, because next time I'm in New York, I'm gonna bother you. I'm gonna show up.
No, I would love that. I'm serious with that. We need to do a Starbucks, definitely. I would love that.
And there's like a Starbucks on every corner in New York.
Every single one.
I couldn't believe how many there were. I know you've got to go a little bit early. Thank you, Doctor, for being with us. Have a great holiday.
No, thank you guys too. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.
Right, we will be right back.
The very best in quality is Captain T's upholstery.
Hey, this is Dan. Let me ask you a few questions. Does your boat look better with the cover on? Has your car's interior seen its better days? Stop using a towel to cover up those rips in the